on the
too, I
table.
guess.
Yeah, true. Something that actually slipped through my mind because Aphelios has been something that has really risen in priority in recent weeks. It's something that Betty has also really liked to gravitate towards. LWX hasn't been playing it as much, but Rakan actually just going to be locked in right away.
I love that they banned Xayah and lock Rakan. That is full SwordArt energy right there. But going for the engaged support, wanting their way to kick off fights. Now offering that Aphelios. Do you have two champions that want to run at you so far in that Sejuani and the Yone? So Aphelios going to be locked in here for Betty.
Yeah, so as FPX, you could always go something like a Ksante here if you want and just try and get the ability to have like a really strong top side early on. But when they're already showing both their bot laners, I feel like it does make more sense to just wait when you are playing on red side and at least getting some value out of that counter pick somewhere. So now for FPX, we do get the veigar coming out. LWX has already played this pick once, and I do expect it to go down towards that bot lane.
I love it. Absolutely. I was actually playing a little bit of veigar bot last night alongside Dagda in the bottom lane.
You were. Yeah, I was there.
I was support, and I went with the wrong support item. It all was a little disastrous, but I did the most damage.
I was playing Leona top that game, if I remember correctly, because that was the game you kept. Yeah. So, point is, I'm sure LWX is going to do a much better job than you did last night. And now we're going to see
the most damage on the team.
Mid lane bats.
It was a top diff
coming out from FPX, and I guess what FPX want to look with going into their next. I mean, they're already just so sorted and so stacked on engage options coming through. Even the zone control coming out from that cage. It's going to make it incredibly hard, not only for Betty to walk up and find these angles, but even SwordArt potentially to try and come in on flanks, and having a lot of that self-peel there I feel like is important when you already know for LWX the rest of your team is going to be jumping away from you. So you definitely need some ability to protect yourself in these fights.
Yeah, I honestly, when you're describing that as an AD carry, Xayah is the pick. Xayah is like the golden grail of picks in that situation. It was bad. So no luck on that one. As support's going to be locked in next for FPX. Still space for flexibility, where the Yone could be up in that top side, and we end up with some wacky final pick coming out for FPX. We'll have to see, though, as Leona locked in for Chocho, one of the classic counters against Rakan.
Chocho has been someone who has been primarily still sticking to that engage role. It actually is one of the reasons why SwordArt felt so confident in taking away the Rakan early on. If the Jax lock-in comes through, potentially opens up for like a Kennen pick or something for the other side, which maybe hypothetically you don't want when you do have the Sejuani. You want to try and enable that passive even more. But we are going to get it's ZDZ's most played champion of the split so far. And now with two really good assassin bands toward the mid lane, which is where Pinzi has been a standout on. I wonder where they go here. This typically has been the other thing. Like the control mage that you put with a Vi usually is the Talia, has the ability to follow up. Vi also sets up for like a seismic shove very well. So wouldn't be too surprised if this is it.
Yep. Oh, could be the answer, but Vex comes through in the end. So again, very good sort of anti-dive, but then also very good at following up on the Rakan, following up on the Vi, and causing absolute chaos within a team. And it does look like you're right. It does look like this Veigar heading towards the bottom lane as a top laner locked in. It's going to be Ksante there for Fearness.
So it's going to go with the expected pick instead of trying to opt into a heavier lane counter, and again having some semblance of synergy with the jungle role. Also just having an incredibly strong 5v5 overall, very burst oriented. Might need some time to get some levels online for the side of FPX as well. To where AL, I love the Vex coming out, not the expected pick. This is something that can very easily follow up with the Vi. She goes for the ulti, you throw out your own, you follow through, and the burst is just there. So LWX especially could potentially have a rough time. I mean, because even if the cage try and stop some of this from coming through, I mean, you're not going to be able to stop the vial. You potentially wait out the cage. It'll be time for the Gyos, Munch. I love the Gyos.
It's on screen for me. That's what matters.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Also, no one sent us any pictures of jumpers just yet.
Have you checked?
I did.
I haven't looked at Twitter.
I just checked while we were in the break. Well, I guess I'll break the pause of, you know, do we have any jumpers to talk about? But we don't.
Did you search hashtag Big Jumper Day?
No.
Well, maybe people didn't hear us when we said it the first time, so just in case anyone did miss it, as you saw on camera, me and my friend Jordan here are both in very large jumpers. because it is hashtag Big Jumper Day here at the LPL. We want to see your big jumpers. Tweet us with the hashtag Big Jumper Day, and maybe your tweet will be featured on stream. Spoilers, it won't be, but maybe
we
in
don't
a
have
bizarre
that
twist
power.
of fate, your big jumper can be on stream. I sound like a morning radio host right now, rather than an
I was going to
LPL
say,
caster.
you normally do sound like a morning radio host, to be fair.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but anytime we play
I feel like that's an insult
anytime
somehow.
we play games together, people always ask, hey, are you a streamer?
That's true, but that's just because I've got a good microphone. All right. Lyric, we've got an engage at the bottom side. SwordArt straight off of the bat in with the Rakan. I will say, SwordArt, he's got a tasty Rakan. If you can think of champions SwordArt's decent with, Rakan's definitely in the list.
Definitely one of his more, I'd say, recent year pickups as compared to something he was known for even back in the day in the LMS. But gives him a lot of freedom to look at his engages, also do creative plays, find flanks. And even when I'll say I feel like SwordArt's individual skill in recent years has just kind of, it's taken a hit. It has dropped off. He isn't the same player as he was back in the day. He's played for a long time, to be fair. One of SwordArt's even strengths going back to 2020 Sooning was his creativity, was his ability to find unexpected plays that the enemy teams wouldn't see coming, roaming on the map, which is something you can do when you're on the Rakan.
And one of the things that has been one of his weaknesses in the last few years has always been that over-aggression, being punished for it. If there's one thing Rakan is good at, it's being too aggressive and getting away with it. That champion is so good at just being so slippery and getting out of any situation.
I was talking to one of my friends who works on a coaching staff in the LPL, and I asked him, why do you keep putting your support on Rakan? This was back in 2020. And he said, Rakan's the best champion that if you have a support who wants to int, he won't be able to int.
That is an incredibly cynical answer, and I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Big trade in the mid lane, but Pins basically just looks at it, just stares him down, and pulls his shadow out of his soul. Don't care.
You know, I didn't want to reveal what team it was because I don't want that inting, but I was going to say there's also people can just go back and see playing Rakan back in the day, but we don't need to talk about that because ZDZ isn't going to go and mess with Hacker whatsoever. He cares more about going and making sure his wave is in a good place.
I respect that. That is how League of Legends works, so definitely on board for that. Hacker getting cheeky with it here as he sneaks up to the top side. He's going to be able to dodge that ward. ZDZ, time to make my prediction come true because you're in a 2v1 at the top side. He has no idea the Hacker's here. Counter-Strike going to be used. Uses the Leap Strike to get out the flash from Hacker to follow it. And he's in all kinds of trouble. The flash is there, but the knockback to the first blood. The Fearness.
Great wraparound coming out from Hacker. Gets the Q over the wall. Knows he's easily able to go for that gank. And ZDZ going down. At least still has TP to get back to lanes since we are so early in the game to make sure he doesn't really lose out on any of the CS coming through. But even other byproducts of this gank and this invade coming through for FPX, having some deep vision in AL's blue side jungle. It's also going to have a lot of information on where Xiaohao is. Might even set up for Hacker on another play if he wants to look towards spawn side before going for some of these camps.
Care is taking some punishment in this mid lane every time he walks up to NZ. Takes a huge hit. Let's take another look. I mean, really, really smart from Hacker. The pathing here. Obviously we saw it in the Scuttle Crab. ZDZ came down to try and mess with him, dropped that wall, so Hacker had full information.
And I mean, Ghost comes out, Flash to follow up to make sure they get the passive. And ZDZ, I thought was doing a nice job of not committing the flash here, but with Hacker having the Q stacked up, just made it very easy for him to guarantee that they get the kill online. Xiaohao.
Oh, Care's in trouble here. Oh no, he went up too early. The Fear doesn't connect either. Care gets into the tower. The shield is there, but PinZ flashing to finish the job. Hacker just a second too late.
And I mean, thank the universe that AL actually managed to get that one, because after Xiaohao, I mean, like you said, queuing too early, having to commit that one, it looked like Care might have been able to escape with a sliver of HP, and that would not have been ideal, as now setting PinZ up to potentially find a lead, being in the lead in CS, having the kill online. Yeah. If you can start getting this Vex roaming early alongside the Vi, that's where pretty much all of your pressure and your early to mid-game strength in this competition is going to come from.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Pinzy, 2 stacks on a Dark Seal at 6 minutes in. It's looking like a solid start to things. I will say, Lyric, have you ever heard of the caster curse? Because I predicted ZDZ was going to pop off. You predicted Care was going to pop off. Both of them have died so far, and that's all that's happened in the game.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! But this is actually exactly where you want to be as Care on Yone. You got to start stacking up.
0-1.
You got to start stacking up the deaths. You give the enemy lane opponent a bit of confidence, and then when you all in them with your ult because they think they're stronger than you, you're like, oh my god, where'd all this sustain come from? Why does he do so much damage? And bam, Pinzy gets solo killed by Care. It's gonna happen.
I think you may be misunderstanding the situation. Your boy Pinzy, he doesn't miscalculate plays. He is the calculator. This man can bowl 13 strikes in a single game, every game. 60% of the time, he bowls them every time.
I'm not really that good at math, so I'm gonna trust your word that that's a lot of the time. Also, I'm interested to see where he goes build-wise. I would expect the Everfrost when you're up against like so many melee champions who really just want to run into you. The Luden's build being even not as common in general. It's definitely a lot more of a solo queue build, but a lot more about the assassination potential. But you have a lot of targets on the side of FPX that you aren't going to be able to just outright burst as Pinzy. Pretty much everyone except LWX.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to just burst people out. Bit of a CC chain onto Chocho there, but it's answered onto Betty. Although it does feel like LWX really not doing much damage just yet. It's an all-in in the mid lane. That's a double knockup with the ultimate, but Pinzy just fears Care. And he just can't finish the job off.
No, not having the damage there to be able to take it down quickly just yet. Xiaohao also being in the area really helped out because that could have been a kill, Pinzy not having flash. But now with both supports roaming over, we're looking at the Herald. FPX doing a nice job of realizing, hey, we have top prio, we can make our way over to this one first. So we need to keep our eyes out, especially on Fearness' ulti. That could be the game changer in this fight.
4v3 for the time being as ZDZ needs to get down here, but it's already gone. FPX getting themselves a Herald and perhaps getting a SwordArt off the back of it. He's knocked up and he will be taken down with the all-out Fearness. Here comes ZDZ though, hacker low as well, but the CC chain onto Xiaohao, trying to do everything, but they're just being taken apart, and FPX walking away on a tiny bit of HP. ZDZ's not done. Perhaps he can find more with a stun onto Chocho. Looking for the leap strike here, but it's on cooldown. There it is. A bonus one for ZDZ. 2 kills on the board for the Jacks.
The reverse caster curse comes in clutch. ZDZ and Care now both sitting at 2 and 1. Still, ultimately, FPX, they come out suddenly head in the fight. They get the Rift Herald on the back of it, so going to be able to start breaking down the turrets. And a lot of indecisiveness coming out from AL. I mean, you see the Jack answering his wave. I'm not quite sure why they're leaning here for so long. And SwordArt doesn't even really have a chance to do anything. It's locked down for so long. Fearness able to take it down. But yeah, the fear from Pinzy, making sure Hacker gets taken so low. And then with them wanting to commit on to the kill of the Vex, it really opens up for ZDZ to be able to run Chocho down. Sadly, Hacker being so low doesn't put him in a position where he's able to help his support survive.
Yeah, trying to get that knock-up to deny the leap strike, but just a second too late on that one. It means Chocho goes down. So now, 2-on-1 on both superstar carries of Care and ZDZ. I love how both AD carries as well, 0-0-0. There's been quite a lot of fighting going on, but it's all been around that top side. Nobody making things happen in the bottom lane just yet.
I will say the big thing as well, even with both of them getting the kills online, ZDZ of course being in his Divine Thunder, this is Yone going for your tier 2 boots very early. So ZDZ take a lot of great trades in this matchup right now and should be able to keep lane control for a decent amount of time. I still feel like AL are the ones who have a bit more agency in terms of making plays, having the Vi and Vex online. I'd love to see if Pinzy can start linking up, getting out of lane more, and start looking for these picks. But FPX is going to be about this 3-man core, playing around your Yone with your melee champions. So much engage online. And now it's going to be a lot about burning flashes, because everyone on AL has flashes up, so hypothetically you'd want to commit a pressure gank, try and get that one out for PinZ before looking for the replay later on.
Try and see if they can shut him down. The personal space, so effective when they will dive on him like that. Chocho going deep, looking for PinZ to kick it off, and SwordArt with a double knockup. The Fears are in as well. It's a lot of damage onto Chocho, but he's not quite down yet. And Care in to answer. The health bar still going for Xiaohao. He flashes out to safety. And it's a 1-for-0. I don't know how, but it is.
I mean, at the same time, I'm actually surprised that FPX were even able to return, you know, the health trades so much, because they kind of just walked in to the members of AL, not connecting any engage start that went up with, really giving SwordArt just a free two-man knock-up, and now puts us in a position where PinZ gets the back, actually is going to go to Luden's build this time around. LWX, you okay?
Betty's in the baby cage, still forces the flash out. Nicely done there by Betty. Just catches LWX out of position. FPX in the meantime will get this Drake. But Betty feels like, despite 4 people in this quadrant from FPX, he's still in control of this bottom lane, and he ain't scared.
No. He doing a great job of maintaining pressure. Bloodthirster online for Betty, so we're going to have a ton of sustain online. LWX. I mean, when I think of LWX, I think a lot more about the aggressive picks coming through. So, you know, being on the veigar, a bit of a different look for him. Even if he has played it once his split, so maybe not the most comfortable, but willing to have that flexibility for the team.
I will say, it was a win, this split, when he played it. He currently has an infinite KDA because he did not die during that game. Fearness, though, managed to get 2 plates in that top side, charged the Herald in for a 3rd. That's a pretty nice little situation for the top laner on the side of FPX. That 4th plate very, very low, but I don't know if he'll actually be able to finish that one off.
And we're at a point now where AL, I mean, 4 items completed on their side, so they'd be very happy if they can get a fight going pretty soon. We're going to have Riptail come up in a minute and a half's time, so that might be your chance as AL, potentially find a fight in your favor, get things going. But you would imagine FPX, you know, Care, Hacker should be pretty close to finishing those off. Maybe even just like Reset's going to come out in the next, you know, 40 seconds, get those online, and that's when you will be able to punish. But for FPX, I just want to see them not do what they did last time, which was kind of just walk into AL, set up for the easiest, like, hey, multiple members are clumped up, SwordArt mines, again, a multi-man engage. It just really gives a lot of room for PinZ to dish out his damage in a very safe area. So for FPX, I mean, if they're the ones starting up the fight, getting on that back line, have a lot of confidence in what they can do, but if not, we've seen AL so far being the team with a very slight gold lead, but also having the items to back that up.
Yeah, it does feel like as well the CC chain from AL, if you do just walk into them like that, my goodness, you're never going to move again. You're never going to get to play the game. And if you're clumped up and Aphelios is in that play, big Moonlight Vigil on everyone, it's over for you. The game is over at that point. So, like you say, we need to see FPX approaching these fights perhaps a little bit better. Still very even in gold, though, and it's 2 Drakes to FPX so far. So, in the grand scheme of things, they'll be happy with this, with how this one's going. I feel like both teams scale reasonably well as well, so I feel like this is going to be one of those interesting games in League of Legends where you don't necessarily have one team that's in a big rush to make things happen right now. No. You're both kind of happy, but equally, you're not going to want to just give away objectives because you're both feeling reasonably strong. Yeah,
and it's like, I think I'd slightly favor FPX later on, just by the nature of their composition, again, being kind of bruiser-esque and very hard to take down for champions. Like Vex, I feel like Vi will lose a bit of her potency, but at the same time, you are also the composition with more just outright DPS coming out from things like the Jax and the Aphelios. So things like Baron are what like FPX are always have to be scared of.
Chocho could be in trouble on the bottom side. Quickness comes out, the baby cage is there. Chocho is tanky, but he ain't tanky enough, and Betty flashing straight onto LWX. No flash on the veigar, and there's a double kill for the bottom lane of anyone's legend. Now with the top side, ZDZ in a 2v1, stunned underneath the tower, pulled back in and taken down by Hacker.
The trades come through, but AL managing to find 2 kills in just an outright 2v2. I feel like that is way more impactful. Herald being dropped in mid, so PinZ and Xiao are going to get some gold under their belts. They're going to be able to start making their way around the map and be showing us some power of this Vex roams that we've been hitting on all throughout the game. And I mean, I was just talking about the DPS able to come out from AL's composition. We got to see it there in full force. SwordArt setting up beautifully for Betty to follow up with those kills.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. I mean, SwordArt getting one of the kills. He's 2-1-2 on the Rakan now. We can take another look at what happened to start the playoff on the top side. Attacker was actually on a wall.
Yeah, Fearness doing a great job to find the initial knock-up and then follow through, bringing ZDZ out of the fight. And then here with the passive straight at field, I mean, doesn't even really get a chance to move on his way out. So FPX needed to find something when they lost out in both mid and bot, and they at least managed to do so. Gold still pretty close to even, 1K gold lead, just above for anyone's legend. But we need to keep our eyes on this dragon, because if FPX can secure this would be soul point. No ults for Hacker and Fearness just yet, but those should be up in time.
That baby cage is absolutely huge for LWX. The damage coming down, the aggression onto SwordArt here. It's a good start to the fight for FPX, but can they keep it going? Because Aphelios is firing away, 1-for-1 so far, but mid lane are down for anyone's legend. And it looks like FPX won't push the envelope any further.
For FPX, when Care still wasn't even really in the fight, you didn't have Fearness's ult up when he came around on the flank.
Care needs to get out of the dodge there. Loses almost half his HP for the attempt.
I feel like had that fight happened 15 seconds later, FPX would have been able to get a lot more from it with Fearness having that ult up. And I remember, I think it was even like Hacker or Care were still waiting a few seconds on their cooldown to be there, but not going to manage to get so now. The posturing around the Drake and to come online. They bought enough time for both members to come up, but Chocho will be here first.
The bell rings in the distance. Round 2 begins. 4 players for FPX, 4 for anyone's legend, but a 5th now arriving as Chocho enters the fray. Kinsey's still over at Raptors right now. ZDZ aggressed upon here. Xiaohao into the pit, but he can't find the smite here. It was Care to take it, as Care's in trouble. Taken down by Pinsy. The resets are here. Can they find any more kills? ZDZ still behind everyone here as Pinsy gets into everyone. 3-man stun from the Counter-Strike, but there's no follow-up from the squad. FPX will survive.
FPX get away on soul point. That's all they were looking for. One member goes down. Look at the rest of the map. No Baron. Nothing really in a position where you can take it. You've already taken both mid and bot tier 1s. You're not in a position where you can answer on top side. The waves aren't even pushed out there. So at the end of the day, FPX going to be smiling with what they got away with, as we're going to see here. Oh, we're actually going to go all the way back in time. And again, what the key things are, Cage doing a nice job kind of buying time for this. And look at the TP on the map. Ksante coming through. Fearness didn't have his ult in this fight. Yone also isn't here. So had they been able to buy more time, maybe it's a different time, I feel like they really could have won out more. But we're going to see 1-for-1 is all that comes through at the end of the day, considering that you do have a large amount of that damage there with the Aphelios. And then here, AL just not able to get it. Hell, neither jungle got the smite, right? It was Yone going to pick it up, and then ZDZ wrapping around. They want to follow this up. They feel like they're in a great position to take a fight, but Kinsey not able to get in, doesn't have fear available to bring them down. ZDZ, even with finding the 3-man Counter-Strike, just not having that damage in range to really be able to capitalize.
I feel like Betty is very quietly becoming terrifying, though. Like, he's doing a lot of damage, and there is very little threat onto him in these fights. I feel like every fight we've seen so far, because of the chaos that Pinsy and SwordArt and Xiaohao, and then ZDZ behind enemy lines are causing, he's kind of just chilling, just blasted his damage away. He's already on 2 items. Once he picks up an Infinity Edge, that Aphelios is going to be something to be feared.
Yeah, I still feel like FPX have all the tools to be able to lock him down. We just haven't really seen, we haven't seen FPX be the one to look for fights just yet, except the one where, again, a lot of their ults weren't there, Care wasn't even around. So we need to really, especially keep our eyes on next fight, Care and Fearness, and what they're able to get done, because if Betty is left untouched, that is the recipe for success for AL. And now, I wonder how much action we'll have as both junglers. Hacker should be just fine, having Sunfire Cape. But I'm kind of surprised at AL angling so heavy for this play towards topside. They see no one mid. They know that Fearness is the only one bot, so they should realize the rest of FPX's members are here. But at least creating a pocket where they can rotate from top to mid, from top to mid, and constantly keep up a numbers advantage with the fact that they have this tempo lead.
Pressure onto the top tower now, as Xiaohao moves behind enemy lines. Betty's here as well. Feels like AL, if they could just finish that top tier 1, they'd have so much more space to play around this Baron, but that tier 1 is kind of of ruining the day for them. SwordArt does need to be a little careful, but he will back away.
Oh, Betty. Betty Munch. This guy.
Betty Munch.
This guy, Munch.
Donkey!
You know, it was a good time watching that movie.
Yeah. What were you going to say about Betty? Are you going to go like Flash Wolves or?
No, there really was no point there. Hey, anyone who doesn't know out there though, he did used to be a jungler. Was actually Flash Wolves' jungle trainee. Was meant to replace Karsa for the day Karsa left. Then Flash Wolves realized, hey, oh, we have good AD carries. Swap this kid to AD carry. So I had no point, but we just transitioned it into one.
I like it. Also, I don't know if anyone knows this. SwordArt used to be on Flash Wolves. True. Little known fact.
I think it was 2019 MSI, the one they went to together, and they did actually surprisingly one of the best spot lanes at that tournament, despite the fact that Betty had never really looked like top tier in an international sense, but really doing a great job at that MSI to really take it to everyone in the 3v2 matchup.
Betty was still pretty fresh back then.
Yes, still very new. And then obviously by the time like everyone, all the other like prominent Flash Wolves members started leaving the LMS, so maybe never really getting the chance, but having his chance here in the LPL, where sadly he's sitting at 2-12 right now in the standings. But hey, for AL, it's about summer. And in summer, anything is possible. Summer is known as the split of dreams.
Is that true? I always thought of it as the small jumper split. You know, spring, it's still quite cold, big jumpers. Summer, it gets a bit warmer. You still need a jumper, or your grandmother will tell you off for catching cold, but...
Oh, wait. But Dragon's live, so we don't need to know anything. We just know that a fight is about to break out.
Oh,
it does now.
Big fear, look at everyone diving in, but FPX just won't die. Chocho's still going to the backside, but there we go. The damage comes through in the end. 2 pickups for AL. And I mean, it didn't even look like FPX got to play them.
I mean, it felt like the same thing where FPX kind of just walk up towards AL and just set up AL for the perfect opportunity to find and engage with SwordArt. Betty's just chilling this game. I feel like he should have a lot more threats he has to worry about coming out from FPX, but they really aren't putting anything on him. And now for AL, getting their first Drake, I'm surprised they don't try to pivot this into threat onto Baron. I guess Chocho is already up and Fearness will be up quite soon, but still, gonna be happy to walk away with that Drake. But hey, at least we're sitting at a 4K gold lead now.
Yeah, deciding to all reset, get items off the back of that gold lead, and then perhaps set up some pressure towards Baron. Perhaps get your side lanes in order. Because everyone just grouped up, stood still.
And it's just like you said, right? When all of them are grouped at, we saw the huge CC coming through, and Betty's Moonlight Vigil went across 3-4 members. Sudden explosion of damage coming on through. And they have so many, I feel like they have so many ways to try to contest control of that river. I believe they even had pressure coming in from bot lane as well that they could have played with, but just small mistakes coming out from FPX, who again in recent series have been doing better. 2 of their 3 series wins are within their last 3 series.
Yeah. And AL actually having some surprisingly good series recently as well, though. They, if my memory doesn't fail,
their last time, I remember, they went to
esports
3 games.
Yeah, they took a game off of LNG. Oh, I know, it's not recent at all.
Yeah, that's
okay, well, they beat RNG in week 7. I'm thinking of someone else.
And
clearly.
the other team they beat was WE, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Like week 4, 5. It's a while ago. So, I was wrong. They've not looked good recently. They look good to me, and that's what matters.
Okay,
yeah.
Gage comes through a lot, getting expensive Hacker.
He's really tanky. He's practically invincible. Care comes into the play. This is your moment, Lyric, for Care to pop off. Xiaohao the target. There's a pick. Care looking for more as well, but SwordArt threatening the knockup, forces Care back. FPX now with a chance at Baron potentially. SwordArt on the Rakan, does get pulled in. And Jax is the front line here, but he's just going 1v5 and nearly winning. Fearness forced away from the play. Knock up those EDZ, counter-strike again, but he will go down.
I mean, he's just so hard to deal with for the members of FPX. But AL really flubbing that one. I believe they threw 3 ults at Hacker. Xiaohao, Pinsy, and Betty's. Now going to try and turn this into a Baron. have some damage they need to worry about, but they're doing this one pretty quickly.
Infernum is available for bait. He doesn't have the Moonlight Vigil, but can maybe get big splash damage out. No, he can't. No, he can't. SwordArt's already gone. Betty's just going for it. He wants care, but he just doesn't have the damage yet. There's a bit of that splash damage we were talking about, but without ultimates, there's nothing they can do.
Gold now even, but Baron on the side of FPX can give them a lot more pushing power. Hopefully at least able to use it to keep Cryo, because look, it overlaps with next Dragon Spawn. So that should help you, at the very least, you control waves and make sure you get that. But here, again, I think it's Vild, Vexalt, and Aphelios ult all committed. 1, 2... Yeah, there's the Aphelios, but still not really able to get anything done. Hacker is just taking buys a lot of space. And then that means on this fight, a lot of those tools that AL been using to take down these club members just aren't there. So then Care coming in, realizing he has the ability to just run them down. Great knockback onto SwordArt to buy space for Chocho to follow up. But this is where it looked a little bit dicey again. ZDZ buying so much time again. Had something like a Moonlight Vigil been here, this could have been a turnaround for AL.
SwordArt starting to fight in the bottom side as ZDZ is here as well, but SwordArt has stepped way too far forward. Not even being on Rakan can save him now. As FPX, they've got themselves the Baron and they want to snowball it down the bottom lane. They go.
I feel like AL's been playing such a stable game
I know.
so far up until that last throw at Baron, and now only giving away more advantages to the side of FPX when it feels like wait this out. Potentially try and angle for a pick onto one member and make sure that Soul doesn't go over, but FPX doing a great job keeping up this push in bot lane. Look at the minimap. Also have a huge wave crashing in top side, so they're denying a lot of gold from anyone's legend right now.
Yeah, Betty is Betty's the last shining bastion, I would say, in this game, where he's on 3 items on that Aphelios. If he can just have an insane fight, maybe still winnable for anyone's legend, but the way that they've been playing these last couple of scraps is not going to cut it.
I will say, though, Betty has both summoner spells up, so Dragon coming up in 20 seconds. That is incredibly good and fortunate for AL, but Pinsy doesn't have his. CDZ no flash, so a lot of things will be restricted to where for FPX, Care and LWX, the two big members you're looking at to dish out damage, also should be in a good place.
Betty just used his Q to make sure he's got 2 fresh weapons for this fight. Green and white is a powerful combo on that Aphelios. Soul point here for FPX if they could get this Drake for themselves. This time, it's a little bit more of a formation on either side. Chocho takes a chunk from ZDZ. SwordArt and ZDZ looking for the blast cone in, and they'll find it. Quickness across the squad. Moonlight Vigil in. This is what anyone's legend needed. Hacker escapes, but he's low and Care gets into the backline and instantly feared. Look at this, taken apart. Double for Betty, a triple in fact, as Fearness will fall to the hammer of ZDZ. And then where was this all game?
The damage is being too much coming out from both the Jax and the Aphelios. I believe it said the Aphelios there doing 7K, double anyone else on his team, which you'd expect. Left untouched, the engage comes through, and now going to be able to take Dragon, going to be able to take down some turrets, and it feels like that's been the big thing plaguing FPX's game. It's always AL the ones on the front foot, it's always AL the ones looking for the engage, which, like you said earlier on, that means Betty is never under any pressure from the side of FunPlus Phoenix. So now they get a Drake, they're getting more turrets broken down, and I don't believe FPX should be able to find anything off the back of this.
SwordArt dropping a cheeky little Tom Kench and Chocho as well. He knows that they're safe, he knows that they're out of there. And honestly, off of that series of 2 plays there that set up for the Baron and then a pick off the back of it, I thought that AL maybe had mental boom, but this play was gorgeous.
Yeah, goes in with the Jax, finds the stun, follows up the quickness into the knockoff. And again, it just buys so much space. You can see on the back line, Betty's reading this whole time. Care not able to find his way onto Betty, so I believe able to dodge out.
Really nice flash.
Yeah, on the engage coming through. And then it's not even getting picked up 1v1. They pretty much just get bursted out once that knockup comes on through. And now sitting at 3 items down in, for the AD carry. You have ZZ being quite huge. He even ended up buying Azanias to give himself more safety in some of these fights, find an engage, go golden, buy time, and buy space for your team if they do. It's just coming out nice. And look, we're seeing Care in that team fight not really able to deal damage. This composition to do what it wants, has to be the one engaging, has to be the one taking a fight on their terms. But now 4K gold behind, already losing out so much in terms of pressure. It just doesn't feel like that's possible. I feel like ZDC's doing a great job maintaining pressure in sides, and the rest of AL's 4-man core having range advantage is able to win out in these like extended standoffs over waves. So you don't really have an opening unless you just try to just go for the full send.
We've been seeing as well Hacker starting to give away those jungle camps to Care because they need him to get that third item. They need that third crit item online. For the Yone, looks like he's headed towards a Bloodthirster. And maybe that would be enough, but Betty playing so well.
He's so scared. Look at that. Look at those 4 items. Betty is terrified.
Like, even if you get closest, Care, you might just get 2 shots.
Yeah.
He's got a Severum going at the time. Like, it's over for you.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think it is incredibly tough for FPX. I will say they've at least checked off one thing, which is get his flash. Still does have the cleanse available. And, I mean, we need to see them in a position where they're, like right now, right? You look at the map, they have waves pushed out on top. You would need to find a way where, like, you're sneaking someone in from that lane, coming around, and making sure that you can get on top of the Aphelios. But even then, even if you take him out, we've seen ZDC's a bit of a raid boss. Like, sure, ZDC's not putting out the same amount of damage because, you know, it's an untouched Aphelios, so he's going to put out more DPS. But ZDC's never even really being taken low. He survives these fights for so long and will do well in an extended skirmish.
I mean, part of that is the fact he's got a Zonyas. Like, he's jumping in, he's using the counter-strike, he's causing a ruck as soon as they try and get him. Turns golden, comes out of the Zonyas, counter-strikes back, and just an absolute nightmare. And those few seconds of vulnerability, he's doing so much damage anyway during that time that most players on the enemy team can't actually take him on.
No.
It's a terrifying position to be in for FPX, but they've been favoring AL for a little while, and they still managed to lose the previous Baron. They still managed to get caught out, lose out on a play, so definitely can't call it over just yet.
Now AL
gold lead right now.
Gonna look towards Baron, try and once again be the ones to be on the front foot to start a fight, as they might not even need to, because Betty, they're just gonna back off. So being afraid of the threat of the smite steals ZDZ.
They might not be able to back up here. Oh, Baby Cage completely denying the flank and a TP coming on through, but now ZDZ has entry if he wants it. Fearlands onto Fearness. Won't be able to be followed up at all. But you know, the reason he's called Fearness is because Fearless was taken, so he just changed the consonant.
Is that really it?
Yeah.
I kind of respect that.
Yeah.
It was a man who knew exactly what he wanted, and you know, he couldn't get that, but he changed the very little that he needed to.
None of this like adding numbers nonsense.
No, which is good.
Just make up a new word.
Yeah, not a big fan of that. But still, going back to the actual game, like ZDZ, that side pressure, making it so Fearness having to dedicate that TP to get into play, so doing a nice job of pulling that one. But for AL, having to commit back down towards the spawn side, because one thing FPX bought themselves is at least the pressure of souls is always there.
LWX just recalled right before Drake here because Void Staff now online. This is a 4-item veigar. We've been talking about the Aphelios all game long. If Betty ends up in a baby cage, if somehow a stun lands, LWX will completely one-shot someone. It's a big if.
And again, the problem is now the flank threat coming out from ZDZ. Betty's flash, one thing we highlighted from last fight that had been taken down, is now back up again. And FPX just don't seem like they're going to be in position to try to find their way on the backline. They're sticking as a 5-man core and trying to brute force in a front-to-back team fight.
True. Takes a bit of a tap from Betty there. Baby cage down, but nobody caught by it. As now we kick off Care straight onto the backside here, but Jojo down before he can do anything. Pins escapes with his life. Betty is 2v1 on the top side of the fight and just railing Hacker. Another couple of kills come across. SwordArt alone on the backside, but reinforcements are on their way. Knockups galore as SwordArt even has a stopwatch. He gets out with his life. Care can't do squat about it, and he has to snap back into the loving arms of Betty. LWX now in a 2v1. Drops the baby cage, and he will walk away, but no chance of getting a kill.
No, and now for anyone's legend going to be able to go on soul point themselves. Third Ocean Drake in a row for them. and only getting further and further ahead with every team fight that they find. And for FPX, I mean, we're going to see it in the replay. Everything thrown at Pin Z. Still, once again, not really able to reach into the meaningful carries. They wanted to try to all in on ZDZ. He manages to escape. And then the engage here, coming onto the Vex, wanting to burst him out. Chocho goes down first, even before this damage comes out. And look at Betty, once again, left untouched. Has to cleanse, but doing a great job of diverting space, buying time. And I'm kind of surprised that we didn't see Hacker and LWX go more heavily onto him, considering he was pretty much just left on his lonesome. And then, I mean, once we get to this point, sure.
Oh, what a flash from that.
I mean, we see them find one more kill, but, I mean, the fight has already been decided at this point.
Yeah. But it looked good. It did look good, you have to admit that. And to be fair, you get knocked up there, you're just dead. Like, Care will one-shot Betty if he does ever get that opportunity. But he's never had that opportunity. And we saw that, oh my days, 11,000
I don't even know if he one-shots him. You know, I think he knocks him up long enough to do a bit of damage, but when you have the Bloodthirster, even as GA at this point,
That's true. That's true.
Huge shield online.
Oh, an attempt from Hacker, but doesn't find the smite. ZDZ in the meantime in a 1v4, but the Zhonya's comes in clutch straight between the goalposts from Pin Z, but the rest of the reinforcements are here. See you later, Infernum Online. A quadra kill, and surely they give it ZDZ, man. Come on.
ZDC wants to know he's been doing work too, not giving it over to Betty. And overall, from AL, we've been highlighting Betty's damage, but Xiaohao and SwordArt being the ones to set up a lot of these engages, Xiaohao especially being the first one in, but then SwordArt finding the multi-man knockups, it was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, with friends like these, who needs enemies lyric? That's all I'm saying. Betty with a quadra kill should have had the penta.